The International College of Surgeons, Nigeria section, has claimed that Nigeria lost no fewer than 6,221 doctors to the United Kingdom in the last 6 years. Because of this, the section estimated that more than 40 million Nigerians now find it difficult to see a doctor. This was all contained in a communique issued by the section, which reads in part, and I quote, "The Japa phenomenon has drastically reduced our healthcare workforce. Studies show that about 87% of our workforce are dissatisfied and wish to emigrate to greener pastures. Before 2022, we had a ratio of 1 doctor to 4,000 patients, whereas the World Health Organization recommended standard is 1 doctor to 600 patients. Evidence shows that the gap widened and the number of registered Nigerian doctors in the UK rose from 4,765 in 2017 to 10,986 in 2023, end of quote.
Well, joining us now to assess this damning report on brain drain and which approach might be best to check the ongoing professional hemorrhage in Nigeria's health sector is Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale. Good afternoon, Mr. Sobowale.
Yes.
Great to have you as always.
Yeah, it's a pleasure of being here.
Of course, always a pleasure to have you. Now, when we looked at the 3 factors that were highlighted that should be addressed, the first thing that was mentioned is the gradual transition from out-of-pocket to NHIA-financed method in terms of the healthcare policy. The next thing is encouragement of private sector-led healthcare mega business and also addressing security. When you look at those 3 factors, would you say that that's enough? Or is it all encompassing, or is there something crucial that might be missing that needs to be addressed probably as quickly as possible?
Well, it's a public health, public welfare, out-of-pocket issue, economic issue. Doctors too are entitled to the good things of life. They need facilities to work. They need good housing. They need to have enough in their pocket to educate their children. And they need good cars to use and move around. But in this particular instance, we are talking of surgical specialties. These are surgeons. These are people that are qualified very technically in terms of medical service delivery. So they are in high demand. It's not the first time they are migrating. You get me? Before, Nigerians used to migrate to Saudi Arabia. Yeah. If you had elderly friends, some of them have returned now as professors. They left in droves because the facilities on the ground in Nigeria are not good for them to practice technically, and materially they were not satisfied. They see, like we said in that story, they went for greener pastures.
Yeah.
That is to be expected. But it's not as if Nigeria is not interested in their welfare. If you read the papers today, the government dissolved the parastatals and boards of, but it left that of NDLEA and NAFDAC.
Yep.
And I'm very happy about that. Because my own approach to health, because of the inadequacies of our own medical health delivery and facilities, is to look at the local way of people looking after their health. See, you have had 2 terrible pandemics. You will expect even our level of sanitation and hygiene would have been wiped out, but we are still around. We had Ebola, and now we have survived COVID. And COVID killed more people in Europe than here. Because the symptoms are almost like those of malaria, cough, sore throat. Even with Ebola and Ebola is a virus, with the COVID-19, the symptoms are almost similar. But you see, the World Health Organization predicted that more people will die in the third world than what we survived. So my own policy on health is that we should, okay, you have a new government in place now, COVID and all that. I mean, sorry, a good fuel subsidy removal. This is an opportunity for this government to cushion the effect of non-availability of drugs and clinics and access to health facilities by our people. You get me? And I'm sure part of the committee formed between the federal government and the NLC and TUC will look at that, because that is, I mean, health, a sound body lives in a sound mind. Health is wealth. And you see, that was something I even read somewhere. I said, make food your medicine and medicine your food. I think our people have been surviving on self-medication, literally. And by the grace of God, they have survived. That does not mean government should abdicate its responsibilities and not look after our doctors. They are migrating because, you know, okay, they were in Saudi Arabia before. Even though before COVID, people were going to NHS in Britain because we were offering them. But then COVID came and they almost walked their doctors to death. And so people started migrating to greener pastures. So the solution is for us to look after our health and make sure that our doctors stay on the ground. Having a situation whereby you should have one doctor to 600 and you have one to 4,000, it speaks for itself. It means you are only under the care of God and not the care of the doctors.
That's definitely a huge leap. And then when we talk about this Japa phenomenon, it's always boils down to...
What is Japa?
Japa.
Migration.
Migration. It always boils down to this enabling environment.
Yes.
Because we know that Nigerian doctors...
We used to call it a different name in my time. Andrew also. It's not Japa in your time now.
Okay, so let's talk about, you know, more solutions beyond financial incentives. How can we maybe focus on partnerships and collaborations between, you know, the Nigerian government and medical associations and maybe international organizations to play a role in addressing the brain drain and the supporting the development of Nigeria's healthcare sector?
Look, I'm suspicious of cooperation with the pharmaceutical industry or the private sector. Look, they say politics is ubiquitous. See what happened during COVID. The scientists took over governance, literally. They locked us all up. Some governors, some political, even in the US, refused to have the lockdown. Here in Nigeria, they almost locked down our entire economy, even though the effect was not that bad. And we have still not recovered from that. If you remember NSAS, the anti-police something, yes, everywhere was locked up, hoodlums took over. Okay. Going abroad, look at Trump. Trump lost his election because of COVID. He too had COVID because he was saying that it was exaggerated. He had COVID with his wife. He was taking some of our anti-malarial drugs. He had it, and the wife, they survived. But you see, people are now suspicious of scientists when they escalate and magnify the consequences of inadequate health facilities. That they may be looking for an indirect way of taking political power. I'm not ignoring their statistics. I'm not saying it's alarmist. We must heed whatever warning they give us. But then, every profession now is desirous of political power and political control of the rest of society. So we must take each on its own merit and assess it. Get me? But essentially, let us put the enabling environment on the ground for our people to survive economically, professionally, and not run to distant lands.
So we need to lead
the doctors.
Yeah.
Just
what is that?
he said, like the doctors breathe.
Yes, now they have to have an enabling
Of course, they have to have a living.
Don't suffer
or else they can boast. They have the right to boast.
Yes.
To greener pastures.
You need help. Okay, but Mr. Sobowale, how optimistic are you that the budgetary allocation for health will significantly be improved to reach the WHO recommended percentage of the national budget?
I don't think you can never manage that. You get me? If the ratio is 1 to 4,000 in Nigeria, when it's going to be 1 to 600, you can only call on this new Tinubu regime. You get me? To make health a priority. But then, you know, education too is a priority. Food security is a priority. Although you can say that, okay, like they have recognized NAFDAC and NAFDAC now, the board is still on. It shows the importance they attach to, because if you read the papers today now, NAFDAC is after importers of herbal medicine. Do you get me now? I'm sure most of us, we take Chinese drugs and so on because we cannot afford the ones from Western Europe, America, and so on. And some have died quietly, but most people have survived. But then, I am proud of NAFDAC the way they have been working. They have done more to look after our health, you get me, than anybody in the health industry, including the pharmaceutical industry, because NAFDAC is the one checking them and making sure that they live up to the required medical standards.
So, I mean, we're just taking this conversation to traditional healthcare. I even was listening to Rufai earlier this morning when he spoke about how we're not necessarily harnessing the natural resources and, some of the homebred healthcare solutions that we have.
I don't agree with that. But for that, it would be dead. Do you get me now? That's what I was saying about COVID. They expected us to die. Look at the hygiene standards, the sanitation of COVID, and look at what we had before with Ebola. Though they are similar, wash your hands. Yes, but you see, during COVID, go to Lagos Island. Yeah, you see how many people sleep in one room, in one flat. If it was the way it happened in Europe, they will all be dead by now. But how many people died? People try to exaggerate the number of deaths here, but no. The number of deaths, John Hopkins University are showing almost on a daily basis that about 1/100 of what was happening there. Which means our local herbs, I've said it here before, our local herbs, which our people use and which they are loyal to, which is affordable to them, have been essentially successful in making them breathe and live.
Look at what you caused. Sobowale, please, just before we round this up, since you're not too optimistic regarding that budget, matching the WHO standards, are you content with the approach that the government is currently taking? Because they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Because we've seen with, the bill that was passed or that was looking to be passed to limit them, those look like relatively coercive means of trying to solve this brain drain matter.
Was that?
So do we need a different approach?
Yes, and that's what we have been discussing all along. You cannot stop. I'm not alarmed about doctors moving out. Doctors are human beings. It's occupational migration. If you offer me 10,000 naira here and somebody is offering me 500,000 yonder, I would be a fool to hang around. It is occupational, it is economical, it's financial, right? Exactly. Don't live on empty stomach. And if you have good skills, appreciated elsewhere, you will go there. What we should do is to, encourage our own local traditional medical manufacturing industry, which is potent and which has been effective in keeping. How many people go to hospital in this country? They can't afford it, and if they go there, they stand queue for hours. They will go away, but they get back home and live, literally.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Mr. Dayo Sobowale.